a dreadful performance in Boston where they had 20 shots in the first period and could not beat Jarl Halak. And then Patrice Bergeron, the Leaf killer, scores late in the first period, and the air was sort of let out of the balloon. And, as I said in my column yesterday, the Leafs cannot beat the Bruins. When the Bruins put up that Bergeron, Pasternak, Marchand line, they have to find an answer. Otherwise, if they match up with them in the first round, in spite of all of Boston's failings and all of Boston's idiosyncrasies, I would pick the Bruins, because the Leafs have not proved that they can shut down that line, and that's the important thing when they face Boston.
This is the Leafs Convo. Norman James along with Mike Augello. About 70% of our listenership is unsubscribed, but we know you come back frequently to listen. Do us a favor. Hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, please. We do you favors. We make you pull your hair out. We are here for you with our conversation several times a week. We're dedicated to it. We're committed to it, especially for this season. Just do us a favor. We're entering the giving season. Hit the subscribe button. Help us get our subscribership up to around 2,000. Hopefully by December. It would mean a lot to us. And you can always unsubscribe as you go along. Mike, what would you say the need is to deal with this Bergeron line? Is it skill? Because it feels to me like, this Bergeron, Marchand, Pasternak line is ready to take on any sort of skill that comes its way. And there's a confidence in that trio's play that is difficult to match, especially when you have a younger set of players going up against them from the Maple Leafs. Mm-hmm. What do you need to nip these guys in the bud and basically find a tonic to match, this Boston line that not only beats the Leafs on the score sheet, but mentally and spiritually has the Leafs beaten before the puck is dropped?
Well, I mean, first of all, and I pointed this out yesterday that, granted, Austin Matthews is out of the lineup. They don't have the services of William Nylander, who scored 60 points 2 years in a row. And Freddie Anderson was, resting in the second of back-to-back, and Garrett Sparks was playing. Now, we'll talk about that in a minute. But Boston was also without probably arguably their best defenseman in Charlie McAvoy. And Tuukka Rask was on a leave of absence, so they were playing against Jarl Halak. So both teams were sort of at a disadvantage and didn't have their best lineup. But even in that case, Bergeron, Pasternak, and Marchand combined for 4 of the 5 goals. I mean, the 4 most meaningful of the 5 goals. So, I mean, I think one thing is that Mike Babcock, when it comes to playoff time, is going to have to match fire with fire. Now, my solution was, and they've used this combo before during the regular season at certain times, where they've moved Kadri to the wing with Tavares and Marner. Match fire with fire. Put a line out there. Kadri can get underneath people's skins just like Marchand can. You match up Tavares to Bergeron. You match up Marner to Pasternak. You fight fire with fire, and that might work. And you have the advantage of, your number 2 center is Matthews. And I'm not saying second line in terms of ranking. I'm just saying, if the Tavares line is matching up head-to-head against Bergeron, then your second line is Matthews matching up against David Krejci, and Matthews should win that battle. So I think that's what has to be done. Obviously, the Leafs, between now and the deadline, with all the cap space that they have, they're going to make acquisitions. They're going to upgrade in certain areas. So I think that the team that you see right now is not the team that you're going to see in March and in the playoffs. But Babcock is going to have to find a solution to matching up against that big line. And if he doesn't, then I think he's going to take some heat if they match up and lose to the Bruins again.
Look, beating the Bruins and moving forward, not only in the season, because they'd like to finish ahead of the Bruins in the Atlantic Division, but in the playoffs as well. It's a hurdle. It's one of the main challenges, one of the milestones that needs to be overcome as this team journeys towards what could conceivably be a Stanley Cup final appearance, the first since 1967. But this whole season can't be predicated on whether they beat the Bruins. this Leafs team has a lot to accomplish and can do a lot of incredible things. They can't perceive the Bruins to be, and fans especially can't feel like the Bruins are this reaper. It's not the be all and end all.